Hello everybody, can you hear me this time? Thank you very much for coming. As you all know, everybody, this is Baliyan Akki.
はい、さくらです。今日はよろしくお願いします。
Last time we did this, she was very.
はい、もうね、今日はどんどん、
Okay.
お話の方に行っていきたいと思うんですが、3月3日、スターダムさんの日本武道館大会に私、ランブルで参戦させていただきました。
Hello everybody, thank you very much for coming. And we are talking about around a week ago, Emi Sakura was present at the Nippon Budokan show from Stardom.
そうで、その中で、3月3日に向けて、七重さんのインタビュー、そして小川さんのインタビュー、それから週刊プロレス成川さんのインタビューをさせていただいて、で3月の10日、1週間後ね、10日に、週刊プロレスっていう日本のプロレスの雑誌と、あとスターダムさんの増刊号、ウィークリーとは別の本が出て、それを読むのを楽しみにしたの。
Okay, so Emi Sakura, as you all know, we did a series of Choco Talks about Emi Sakura going to do the Nippon Budokan show for Stardom. We had Stardom's previous owner and still the main, producer of Stardom, Mr. Ogawa-san here. Then we have from the ShuPro editor for Stardom, Narikawa-san here. And we also had Stardom's main commentator, the main person who commentates for Stardom, Mr. Murata-san as well.
そうで、私たちっていうかガトームーブチョコレートプロレスと、さくらえみと週刊プロレスさんについてに関係を話させていただくと、チョコレートプロレスが、週刊プロレスさんに取り上げられたことは、ほぼないですね。で、あとさくらえみは去年の8月に25周年で一度インタビューを取っていただいたぐらいで、それ以降は自分たちが情報を送る以外は取り上げられたことはない雑誌です。
So, just to speak on the context of what ShuPro is to us, ShuPro is basically, if you don't know, is a weekly professional wrestling magazine in Japan, has a long history, has been running for quite some time, runs basically does every show, reports about all the wrestling news in Japan, including all the Joshi wrestlings and other places as well. But we as ChocoPro and before Gatoh Move do not exist to them. We have never been on ShuPro and we have never gotten the results unless we let's just say we write a report about the results or something and send it to ShuPro online app, the mobile app, not the magazine. That would be up there unless we basically don't exist to.
なので、その私がその雑誌に載りたいとか、私が載ってるだろうと思ってこの雑誌を楽しみにしたんじゃなくて、やっぱ女子プロレスのすごい大きい大会、もう本当に24年ぶりのビッグマッチが終わって、丸々一冊女子プロレスっていうのも嬉しいし、とにかくワクワクしてその1週間後の雑誌を楽しみにしてた。
So, as you know, because she also participated on the show there, and there was a special edition of ShuPro for the Stardom show, and they actually released another magazine just for that show. They actually made a book about that, only about that show. So she was looking forward to reading those magazines. The last time Emi Sakura was in ShuPro, I think was 25th anniversary of hers. I think that was she did an interview for them or something. Other than that, we don't really exist to them. Oh yes, I'm doing that right now then.
で、私は週刊プロレスのモバイルの、なんていうのプレミアムっていうのに入ってるので、雑誌は発売された24時に見れるのね。で、今回その増刊号もこのプレミアムで見れるので、もし雑誌を毎回買ってる方で雑誌じゃなくてもいいんだよな、早く見れたりとか、手元で記事が読めればいいよなっていう方は、このモバイルとプレミアムをおすすめするんですが、私は発売されて12時ぴったりに見ました。
So as you know, everybody, most people have to wait for the magazine to come, but Emi Sakura was really looking forward to reading the magazines. So she went right up onto. She has a premium membership of ShuPro magazine. You have a premium membership where you can read it right online, the magazine that comes out, and you can read any magazine from the past as well. She has that membership, and she read it right away.
で、それで何分後かな、深夜だよね、12時過ぎだから深夜に、私がツイッターで書いたの。週刊プロレス最新号スターダム武道館の記事が載っていたので、楽しみにしてページを開いたよって、読んでこんなにも怒りを覚えることになるとは思わなかった、 記者の方、ライターの方は一体どういうつもりなんだろうって。
So Emi Sakura, right after reading it at 12 on the clock, read the stream and basically went to the Twitter right away and actually wrote like I was really looking forward to this basically this book coming out, this week's magazine coming out. I was looking forward not to just because I wanted to be there, because it was such a celebration for Joshi Pro Wrestling to go back to Nippon Budokan, and I was looking forward to what the writer would write. And she wrote, I have never been this, like, I don't remember being this furious ever. What the hell is the writer of this article or the person who like the editor of this article thinking about?
で、このツイッターの意味は、皆さんいろんなことを考えながら週刊プロレスさんを手に取ったり、まだ発売されてない地域とかもあったと思うので、まだ見てない方もいると思ったので、どんなことに起こったのかっていうのは書かなかったんです。
So as to Emi Sakura says, because a lot of people had not read that magazine yet. So she says, I didn't write why I was angry. What was the reason for me to be angry? She didn't write that. She just thought I'm furious.
で、週刊プロレスさんを読めない方、読んでない方もいらっしゃると思います。
So of course there's a lot of people here who don't read ShuPro. Of course, like all of the foreigner fans especially.
そういう方にはちょっと話がよくわからなくなってしまうと思うので、で、今回週刊プロレスさんに確認を取りまして、雑誌に書いてあること、全部は無理なんだけど、その一部引用、全部のページを見せるわけじゃないけど、その、私について私について書いてあるだろうことは引用してもいいよっていうことを言われたので。
So because there's a lot of people here who don't read ShuPro, not just foreign fans, of course Japanese fans as well who don't buy the magazine every week and don't have a subscription to it. So Emi Sakura actually talked to ShuPro and got the permission from them to show the content of the interview that was on ShuPro. Of course, she won't be able to show you all of it, but we will show you sections of it where like she's mentioned particularly.
特にこの週刊プロレスさんというのは日本語でしか読めないし、海外で見るとしてもすごい遅くなってしまうので、内容に関して今日は話しながらいきたいと思います。
So, like, of course, foreign fans might have a trouble following the conversation. I will try to do my best to convey everything whatever is in the interview. So, hope you guys stick.
まず私が何が起こったかというと、本誌48ページですかね、ランブルについて書いてあるあっぱれゆずぽんっていうこのページです。このページのこの丸してあるところ。
This page specifically, everybody, she said, Emi Sakura, the first thing she was angry about is this.
ここです。めっちゃ大きくしたけど、ガトムーブの選手を引き連れて入場したさくらは、レディー C の登場時にはこのポーズ、場内の笑いを誘った。これね、印象的だったという方もいらっしゃると思うんですけど。
So they would say like Emi Sakura who showed up to Budokan with the whole Gatoh Move roster, basically going for a laugh here.
でね、
said,
私の別に顔が顔が目に隠れてるとかいいんだけど、その中で場内の笑いを誘ったっていうことに関して、いやこっちは真剣にやってるのに笑いを誘いに行ったみたいな書き方は何だと思って、私は怒ってこのツイッターを書いたの。
Okay, so この翻訳では関係なかったです。So she says she actually got
MSC のこと。
So at midnight she basically just was angry about the photo. Like what do you mean I was going for a laugh? I was actually competing with Lady C. Like you basically are implying that I basically went for a laugh there. I didn't go for a laugh there. I went for a fight. What the hell do you mean?
でもそのツイッターを
Don't take MSC lightly. Basically, that's what she's saying.
ちょっと違う反応が返ってきて。なんかジュリアさんの名前がちょこちょこ出てきて、インタビューに対して怒ってるんだみたいな。
So after she didn't actually, because it was midnight, she just saw the picture and saw what was written on the headline. She didn't read of course, the interview yet, Giulia's interview, particularly on the magazine. But when she wrote that on Twitter, people started basically replying and saying like, "Oh, she's angry about the Giulia interview," and then she went, "What Giulia interview?"
なのでジュリアのインタビューと思って、その次のページとかを見たら、ちょっとごめんなさい、本誌の並びが分かんないんだけど、そのさくらのことを言ってるんじゃないかっていうジュリア選手の、スターダムジュリア選手のインタビューを見つけました。
Then she, of course, after just roaming through the magazine, she found it right after like 1 or 2 pages about Giulia saying, not just writing her name, and she was talking about Emi Sakura in a reference way.
で、 カラーで見開き2ページで、ちょっと刺激的な、ちょっと、キャッチコピーがあって、で普通に試合を終えた感想と、見開き2ページの4分の1ぐらいかな。私のことに書いてあるのかなっていう。
So it was like a two-page interview, and like 1/4 of the whole interview was about just she was pissed off at Emi Sakura, basically.
そうで、その3月3日の武道館のメインイベントでスターダムさんの白いベルトの防衛戦があって、でその中でチャンピオンがジュリア選手、挑戦者が中野タム選手だったんだけど、その試合を終えたんだけど、紙切りマッチでジュリア選手が負けてしまって髪を全部切ったんだよね。で私は10年前紙切りマッチをやってたので、その紙切りマッチに対して私はジュリア対中野タムについてこういうふうに思うんだよ、紙切りマッチってこういう感じだよっていうことを書いた、記事が週刊プロレスさんの 2,3 週間前ぐらいに載ったの。
So of course, because the main event, as you all know, was a hair match between Tam and Giulia, and Emi Sakura, who has done like a hair match 10 years ago, ShuPro approached her about getting comments on what it's like to do a hair match, as the big hair match is coming up. So she did what she thought about, like, this is how it's like how I felt, and this is how it's like to do a hair match.
で、私がその中で言ったのは、私は10年前やってるんだけど、負けた人が、今、髪の毛を切るっていうのは、ちょっと時代に合わない、今の時代に合わないんじゃないかって言って、で、なんでかっていうと、その負けた方が何かを失ったり悲しい気持ち、その罰ってなんていうの？
わかりますよ。
罰を与えるみたいな意味で、その髪の毛にそのアイデンティティがあるわけではない。ただ女性だから髪を切ったらそれは何かを失うだろう、大きなものを失うだろうっていう考え方が、ちょっと今時代に合わないんじゃないのっていうコメントを。
So Emi Sakura said a comment that like hair versus hair match is a weird match to have in this age, as in it's not bad about losing and like losing a match and losing something that is precious to you. That makes sense. That is like getting punished for if you bet something and you get punished for losing. That makes sense. But the punishment, as in being, if you lose your hair, that's bad because you're a woman. Like if a woman loses her hair, that's like, let's just say, very bad for her, or she loses her identity or something like that. She's sort of like that idea doesn't really suit today. Like for a woman to lose her hair and just be like, oh, like, you know, it's I lost something great, and I basically lost, like, hair is a woman's life or something, which it was said for a long time ago. But something like that doesn't really suit today, the day we live in, 2021.
で、その髪の毛が短くって素敵な女性もいるし、そのじゃあ切った人が罰っていうのは、でも私たちは髪をかけてベルトだけじゃない。ベルトだけじゃない、勝った負けただけじゃない、さらに全部を失うかもしれないことをかけても試合をするぞっていうのが、その理由が髪切りっていうのがなんか変な感じだなっていうふうに思ったんだけど。
Emi Sakura thought, but both of them were like, so like what about, like there are females with very short hairs, beautiful, and in their own ways, and there are girls with like super long hairs. Both of them are completely fine. But like thinking of losing your hair as a punishment from the get-go, it seems was like a bit quite old-fashioned to Emi Sakura. And then she went, is like, but they thought, like, according to them, what they were thinking basically, they said also is, we are betting way more than just a belt on this match. We are betting a very precious thing to us, which is our hair, and it is even going to that length we will fight.
ちょっと海外は手に入るのか入らないかわからないけど、この表紙のページのここに私顔写真と名前入りで、この髪切りが女子プロレス界で、その髪切りマッチっていう試合形式が最後であってほしいな、もうやるのはしょうがないから、やった後に、最後であってほしいっていうことを自分のこのぐらいね、このぐらい載せてもらってます。
So, I don't know if you can get this magazine, everybody, but this is the magazine where Emi Sakura made her comment. Basically, this is her with her photo and name. She said basically, this is a match, the hair versus hair is going to happen this time. But it would be fantastic if this happens to be the last hair versus hair match in Joshi wrestling.
で今回そのヘアマッチに関しては、本誌週刊プロレスの方と増刊の方に載ってて、増刊の方から少しね、引用させてもらいたいなと思っております。
So, これ
読んでもいいって言われてるから。
Okay. So this is Giulia's like right as she did the, of course, the title match and the hair versus hair match. She lost to her hairs, and right after that she did an interview with ShuPro, and that is the interview that we're going to talk about today. After I think we did a good prologue in that sense, and now Emi Sakura is going to read from the interview.
普通髪切りといえば切られた選手の精神的ショックは半端なものじゃないと、切られた本人が涙するだけじゃなくて切る方も精神的ダメージを受けることはあると。
She says, well, hair versus hair match, the damage that comes from it is not easy. Not just the person who loses hair, but of course the person who cuts the hair takes a significant amount of damage as well. Like basically psychologically, it's pretty hard.
でもジュリアの髪切りは違った。
But Giulia's hair versus hair was different.
ジュリア自身の中では髪を失ったダメージはあったかもしれないけど、悲しいとかそういう気持ちは外に出さなくて。
So he says that basically Giulia losing her hair was not like that. Even if Giulia had, she's talking in third person about herself. Giulia would have had some damage to herself. She didn't show it.
で、髪を切られたけどビジュアルは惨めなものではなかった。かっこよかった。
Even after losing the hair, she didn't look, let's just say, unpleasing. She looked cool. Even after losing her hair.
で、懲罰的罰で髪を切るなんて時代遅れ。これ私が言ったね。令和に髪切りマッチ。令和っていうのは昭和平成とかの令和。今の時代に髪切りマッチなんてかっこ悪い。髪切りなんて誰も幸せにならない。これは岩谷さんかな。ちょっと私ではないんだけど。で、試合の前に言われたいろんな批判を片っ端から一周するっていうのは関係ねえってやる。で、ジュリア選手が見せた髪切りマッチだった。今の時代の。
So Giulia says, people have told what she like quoted Emi's Sakura's comments, saying people have said like, well, basically it will be a punishment to lose the hair. It's way behind its times. You don't really have to do like it doesn't make how to say it's like not uncool or like very sad or like basically it doesn't come with the time of today. She quotes Emi Sakura saying that, but my hair losing was not that. It was basically this era of hair cutting.
で、ジュリアのコメント、私は令和のって難しい。令和でわかる？
わかります。
私は令和の髪切りマッチを見せるつもりだったし、大会スターダムの大会が再開した時にリング上でみんなに言ったよって、みんなは安心して見ててください。だから大丈夫、平気、安心してこれからも見ててねって。
So she's saying Reiwa, by the way, let me give you a bit of context. It's going to take 1 second. Japan moves into eras. So like every 20 to 30 years they move into a different era. So the time changes and they call it a new name. Let's just say from like we would call 80s or 90s or 20s. They have names for them. And this era started in 2018. We call it Reiwa in Japan. So basically this time, you're basically saying this era, this new times of. She said, Giulia says, and I quote, I had planned to do a hair versus hair match of this era of Reiwa, and Reiwa means this era of this era, and I did that. I stood in the ring and told everybody, you don't need to worry. Everybody can relax and take, like, just enjoy it, because it's not going to be what you think. I am going to do a hair versus hair match of this era. You don't need to worry.
で、プロローグマッチ、最初の試合からメインまでスターダム初めての武道館大会は大変充実の内容となった。内容良かったねって。そのイメージで大会が終われたのは、ジュリアが令和の髪切りを会場の隅々まで届けてくれたことが何よりも大きい。
Says, of course, the Stardom show was fantastic from match number 1 to the main event, and of course, the fact that the show ended in such a good note is because Giulia was able to make sure that we have a hair versus hair match of this era.
で、ベルトを失って髪を切ってそれでもなお価値を上げ続けるジュリア。
Losing her title, cutting her hair, still making her name big is Giulia, says Giulia.
で、誰にこびることも、こびるってなんていうのかな、誰にこびることもなくかっこよく生きる彼女のプロレスはこれからも広がる。 それだけスケールの、それだけのスケールとカリスマ性があって、日本全国へ世界へジュリアはどこまで大きくなっていくんだろうって。
She's talking about herself. She says, doesn't need anybody, doesn't need anything. Julia will just keep rising and rising her scale and her like that's the level of scale and charisma Julia have, and to all Japan, to the whole of Japan, to the whole of world. No matter like we don't know how far Julia will go.
でこれで終わってるんだけどこの増刊号は。で、他にもスターダムの試合が全部載ってるので、ピンナップもついてるしインタビューもあるからぜひ皆さんに見てもらいたいんだけど。
I'm still asking people to buy ShuPro because there's more to the interview as well. We're not of course not going to read the whole thing.
でジュリアがかっこよかったねっていうのはみんなが言ったことなの。でも、
So basically she's saying everybody said I was cool.
髪切りが終わった後がどうこうなんてさ、試合前にはわからないじゃん。私試合前に言ってるんだから。で試合前に言ったこととしてその髪を切るどうこうっていうことが古いって言ったことに対してのこの試合で、見せてくれてかっこよかったでって話なんだけど、もしジュリアが勝ってたら中野タムが負けてたら私はすごい悲しいエンディングを今でも想像できるんだけど、でもジュリアはもし勝ったとしてもきっと素敵なエンディングを見せてくれたんだろうなっていうのをこれからは感じて、すごく素敵な試合だったと思います。
Emi Sakura still praising Giulia right now. She says, well, of course she's talking about before the match. She said before the match because Giulia lost. Now she cut the hair like she was cool. But Emi Sakura can still, not even closing her eyes, can imagine what if Tam must have lost. She can still imagine a very devastating ending to that match. But Giulia, apparently she had a plan where, even if Tam would have lost, she would have made a good ending. And Emi Sakura thinks, I believe her. She must have had a plan. So I'm looking forward to what she does from now on as well.
私が言ったのは試合前のこと。
Of course, Emi Sakura talked about before the match.
タムが勝つのかジュリアが勝つのか分かんない。そしてジュリアが負けた結果髪を切ってそれがかっこいいかかっこよくないかその試合内容がどうかっていうのは、置いといて、時代に合わないねって言ったこと、それに対するジュニアのアンサーは別の話なんだよね。
So Emi Sakura says, when I was talking about before the match. The fact that the match was happening with that on the bet was old. Was not to this time. What happens in the match, how the ending ends, that's a separate conversation. The fact that we are going to do this match is old. And it's two different stories. Emi Sakura is talking about the decision to do that match and the significance it has as thinking about Giulia lost the match, lost her hair, still looked cool. That's the result. The fact that somebody has to lose her hair and was supposed to look terrible, that idea is super old. And Emi Sakura thinks that's what she was talking about.
それで、これは増刊の方で本誌の方になると、そのジュリアさんのインタビューが載ってて、読ませてもらいました。それを話しながら私が感じたことを今日話しさせてもらいます。
So now she's going to talk about specifically when she goes for Emi Sakura.In this interview and what Emi Sakura thought about what she said. We're going to talk that and we're going to go out.
ジュリア選手は怒ってます。
So Giulia is angry, apparently everybody.
だけど問題は多分私のことだと思うんだけど、私の名前は出てこないの。だからジュリア選手が多分私に対して怒ってるんじゃないかなと思いながら、本当に私かなっていうのを考えながら話していきます。
ちょっと待ってください。
私のことじゃないかもしれないの。
本当に？
わかんないもん。
で、ちょっと待ってください。なんか具体的に何というかな、10ポイントだった場合は 9.8 ぐらい桜さん当たってますよね。
7割ぐらいは当たってると思うけど、
7割ぐらい
でも恥ずかしいじゃん、もし私じゃなかったら。
So apparently, the problem with this interview, everybody, is she's very angry. Giulia is very angry and she's talking a lot, but she does not say the name. So all the things Emi Sakura says, she quotes it, says to it, but do not say the name of Emi Sakura. All the things Emi Sakura did, she goes from 1 to the 2nd to the 3rd to the 8th to the 7th, but does not say the name. So it is a predicament. So the interview was out 3 days ago, and I think that's why it took Emi Sakura 2 days to really respond it, because she was basically thinking about should I or not.
もちろんこのインタビューは読んだんだけど、なんでこの今日になってしまったかっていうと、 まず読んだだけでは私かどうかわからないから、私かなってちょっと、ツイッターとかなんかで反応があるかなと思って待ってたの。そしたら今日スターダムさんの新木場大会があって、そこで私の名前は一切出なかったの。だから私じゃないなと思ってます。
私じゃないなとか思った上に喋ってます。
だけど私っぽいから、もし私だったら言わないといけないから、今日今になって言ってる。
So as you know, everybody, today was a show of Stardom. Stardom did a show today, and she waited till this show because she was waiting for Giulia might say something on the show. She didn't, and now Emi Sakura thinks, well, I have to make a reply. It could be that she's saying to somebody else. Doesn't make sense if she's talking to somebody else, but she has to get it off her chest, so she's talking here. To our own ChocoPro. Thank you for coming, everybody.
で、まず、いろいろ紙切りの話とか試合の話とか、かもちゃんのことに触れてるのかな、ちょっとスターダムの武道館について触れて、髪がなくてどうだとかって話をした後に、今後のこれからのジュリアは何をしますか、活動について何を考えてますかっていう記者のインタビューがあります。
So from this, she talks about she really barely talks about time though, but she talks about the show, that how she is, how she feels about losing the hair, and how she's feeling right now, and then she goes into what Giulia is going to do from now on.
で、私としてはさ、負けちゃったわけじゃん。だからこのベルトをどうしていきたいとか言えなくって、ジュリアの今後のビジョンが2ページもあるんだよ。だから語られるだろうなと思って楽しみで読むじゃん。そしたらね、そういう感じではなかったの。今しかできないことがきっとあると思う。ベルトがなくなって今の私には背負うものがなくなった。失うものがもうないじゃんって。だったらベルトを持ってる時にはできないようなことをやらなきゃいけないと思ってる。例えば武道館前に紙切りマッチについてブーブー言ってるベテラン選手とかがいたじゃないですか。
So she goes, well, everybody, I have lost the belt. I don't have anything else to lose, and I can do whatever the hell I want now. I have freedom now. Now that I don't have the championship belt, as all you know, there was, of course, like we all know the legend who was basically going boo boo about the whole hair match.
で、私は誰がこの紙切りについて賛否っていうか、いいこととか悪いことを言ってるとか、全部を見たわけじゃないからわからないの。で、ベテラン選手っていうのもいっぱいいるじゃん。武道館大会に出た人もいっぱいいるし、この雑誌にも同じように否定していることを書いてる人もいるから、この時点では私かどうかわからないんですよ。
Up until this point, you can't really say it was Emi Sakura, she's talking about. But we're gonna go. さくらさん、どんどん行った方がいいと思います。一個一個でこれポイントいけば長くなっちゃうから。
言わないとやっぱちょっと分かりづらい。具体的なものが何もないの、このインタビューには。だから一個一個言うしかない。
Insulting Emi Sakura right from the get-go. And Emi Sakura says, "There's no." I said, "Let's go from one to the last point, and everybody can understand that she's talking about you." And she goes, "No, if we do that, everybody will be confused because there's not really anything specific in this interview. She's just talking about broad terms. Doesn't talk anything specific."
で、まずこれ一つ言いたいのは、今しかできないことがあるっていう中で、ベルトを背負ってるから何かやるときも面白いじゃん。私はベルトを持ってるからこれをやるぞっていうのが面白いのに、ベルトをなくしたからやれることがあるっていうのは、遊んでやろうみたいなことじゃん。で、誰だか分かんないからこのことを言ってる人が、誰でもいいから架空のことでも何か言って誰かが食いついてきてくれたらいいかなっていう話題作りをしたいのかな。もうリップサービスでこれを言ってるのかなっていう気はしてます。
So up until this point, Emi Sakura is not really taking it like basically seriously. She's going. She's saying, I will do something because I don't have a belt anymore. But most likely, when you do have a belt, that's when you do stuff. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this or this or this now that I'm the champion. But she's basically saying, now that I have lost the belt, I'm going to, I can have fun. I can just mess around. And now that she doesn't have a belt, she needs, like, I'm sorry, I think she's basically what she's doing is, well, she's trying to create buzz.
で、これは雑誌だからね、読む人は限られてる。いろいろ発信してる人はいましたねってライターの人が言ってて、ライターっていうのはここにチョコプロに来てくれた。
Of course, by the way, the person who's writing this and the interviewer is the same person, is the same ShuPro editor who we interviewed, Mr. Narikawa. You can go back and watch his interview on the same YouTube channel. ジュリアさんが言ってるのは、成川さんも一緒になって言ってたのを見たけどねって、私たちトークしてたから私かなと思って。で、別に言うのは構わないんだけど、聞いた感想は後出しじゃんけんでやってるだけだなって。後出しじゃんけんでわかる？じゃんけんして後に出すこと。でもそれってさ、髪を切って負けたジュリアさんがその後にかっこいい髪切りでしたねって言ってるのと同じじゃん。でもそれは置いとこう。 もう一回言ってもらっていいですか？後出しじゃんけんは何に対して言った？
紙切りマッチについていろいろ言ってるベテラン選手がいたじゃんって。
これはなんかわかりました。So basically she says like of course and Narikawa-san then says yeah we know I talked to one as well and everybody was kind of complaining about it and she goes yeah like those veterans who their time has passed, they're basically talking about young generation what they're doing right now. What they're basically doing is throwing a late junkin. And we are very good at junkin, so we know what we're talking about. Late junkin basically means somebody throws, let's just say I throw like paper, scissors wins paper, right? So I throw paper and then you wait 2 seconds, see it, and then throw your scissors. That basically means like a late throw. So the veterans talking about what I do is basically late throwing. And Emi Sakura goes, but you doing a hair versus hair match, losing your hair, and then saying I'm cool is basically the same thing. Because the result was cool. You said I was planning it the whole way.
で、このね後出しじゃんけんやってる人は自分が紙切りをやったことは棚に上げて、棚に上げてっていうのは自分はやったのに、そう人は紙切りをやるのはやめてほしい、スターダムは女子プロレスの最前線先頭走ってるね、なんだからもっとキラキラして新しいものを見せてほしいって言ってたってこの人は。
So that person herself has done that person herself has done like a hair versus hair match and they put it on their self. Yes, I have done a hair versus hair and now that I'm doing it, she is mad at me and like just throwing fits all around. She said that Stardom is the flagship right now of Joshi Pro Wrestling, good or bad. But she says now that they're running up front, she wants. Giulia is talking about Sunburn now. She wants that Stardom should be sparkly and run up ahead and be more bright, be more like a future instead of be like a past. So Giulia is talking about somebody said this. Who somebody said this?
で、これはね確かに私言ってるの。このスターダムは本当に女子プロレスで
She actually said that word by word. So.
世界で一番の女子プロレス団体だっていうのは言ってる。これは本当に思ってる。だけど、自分が紙切りをやったことは棚に上げてっていうことは紙切りをやった人のことじゃん。私やったじゃん。で、ヨネちゃんもやったじゃん。七重もやったじゃん。中島もやったし、ダッシュちさ子さんもやったし、中森花香もやったし、アジャさんもやったし、バイソンさんもやったし、豊田真奈美さん、山田敏夫さん、それから長与千草さん、ダンプ松本さん、誰のことを言ってるのかはまだここではわからない。
でもこれは誰がなんか悪口言ったんですか？
これを言ったのは私だけど、これを他の人が言ってないかどうかわからないじゃん。
OK、じゃあ次行きましょう。Yes, here we go。
で、まあそんなこと言ってるけど、本当にそんなこと思ってるのって、本当は違うこと思ってるんじゃないのって、で頻繁に私が期待しすぎてるだけなんだけどねっていうのを言ってた。
So like basically like be honest. Like Giulia is saying about now. Aren't you thinking something else? Aren't you just, aren't you really feeling something different? But basically, I'm basically giving you too much expectations, aren't I?
これはね、私言ってた。私かも。で、それをね、褒め殺しっていうのかな、褒めすぎて悪く言うみたいな。で、結局その選手が言いたいのは、これ選手って書いてあるから関係者だって選手ってことだね。スターダムのやってることは彼女以下のつまらないことで、彼女がやってるアイドルの真似事みたいなのがキラキラしてて最高っていう話でしょ。
So she goes, Emi Sakura basically said, like Emi Sakura did say, maybe I'm expecting too much of them and maybe it's bad. So Giulia says, she said that she's expecting too much of us and we are not doing it, basically complimenting us to diss us. And Emi Sakura did say that. And so she goes, what she mean, Giulia says about a particular person. What she means is basically what you are doing is more interesting than what we are doing. You basically think the idol style professional wrestling you do, where everybody is sparkly and dancing, that's better. That's what basically you're saying.
これで一つ思うのは、私はもしこれ私が言ったことだったとしたら、でスターダムのやってることは私の期待感のつまらないことなんじゃなくって、これからもっとすごいことになるんだろうなってワクワクしてるっていうことなんだよね。スターダムが。で、彼女がやってる、まあ私も団体やってるんだけど、アイドルの真似事みたいなのがキラキラしてて最高っていう話でしょ、っていうことに関しては、アイドルの真似事っていうのは確かにガトームーブではやってた、真似事って言われるのはね、言い方としてはどうかと思うけど、アイドルっぽいことは ガトームーブでやってたけど、ガトームーブがそもそも1年活動してないんだよね。
で、まあガトームの印象強いですけど。
で、見てないんだな。もしこれが私のことだったらチョコプロは見てないと思う。彼女は知らないと思う。
So Emi Sakura says, yes, I did. Well, it's hard to say like a copy or like that style or something. But we did do like dance and stuff that idols would do in Gatoh Move. But we haven't done Gatoh Move in 1 year, so she basically doesn't know what I'm doing right now.
で、正直、こういう人が業界をダメにしてるんだろうなと思った。業界っていうのは多分プロレス業界のことかな。まあディスだよね。こういう人が業界ダメにしてるんだろう。で、彼女はプロレスの天才だというのは知ってる。で、お客さんが離れていった女子プロレスを発想の展開で救った救世主メシアなのかもしれない。
So she says, this person is somebody. もう一回言ってもらっていいですか、最初から。
彼女は正直こういう人が業界をダメにしてる。
これ聞こえなかったです。So she says, well, Giulia says, well, people like these are what damn this pro wrestling world. I know that she's a genius. I know that she was someone who brought up. You could even say her a messiah of some like of a kind who brought out Joshi Pro Wrestling from the dark days it went to.
あれ天才の話した？
した。
お客さんが離れていった女子プロレス発想の展開で救った救世主。
Almost like a messiah who brought out the fans back to Joshi Pro Wrestling who have left because of the dark times.
これがなければ、ちょっと私かなと思ってたんだけど、これがあるから私プロレスの天才じゃないし、お客さんが離れていった女子プロレスを救ったっていうことも特にしてないから、私ではない可能性がある。
でもさくらさんが自分が何でもないっていう癖もあるから。なんか他の人がそう考えてる人多いですよ。
何を救ったんだろう。まあでも誰かにさくらってプロレスの天才だよねって聞いたとして何を救ったと思ってるんだろうっていうのはちょっとわからないところかな。なんかどっかで聞いたことあるような言葉をくっつけてる感じがする。
So Emi Sakura says it all basically seems like she doesn't really. I don't think she knows me enough that she would say those things about me. She basically heard somebody say this about me and is just repeating it now.
もしこれが私のことで私のことをもうちょっと知ってほしいなと思う。だから。まあ知ってほしいなと思ってる。もうちょっと正しく。で、
She says if you really did say that about me, well, basically, you know.
でもあの人はプロレスの天才なのにプロレスを救いながら、まあ、プロレスをってしたと思う。で、業界のためにやるべきことは何なのか、失うものがなくなった今だからこそあると思う。そういうことを考えた。
So he says this person might have been a genius of pro wrestling, but she also is damning pro wrestling at the same time, and well, basically says now that I think about it, people like these are the one who really makes it improper for to make like move forward. And I thought about things to do once these kind of like the blockages are not there.
で、その業界をダメにしてるみたいなのことはよく言われるので。
Emi Sakura is very often said that she basically compromises the integrity of professional wrestling. It's easy to say. Yeah, it's easy to go after Emi Sakura. You can really, she has a thick skin and she goes after people.
で、それは大丈夫。で、成川さんが、その選手と試合がしたいんですか、実現は難しそうだけどって言ってるの。で、それに対してジュリアさんが必要であれば私はいつでも。あとは会社判断ですねって。
She says, well, if we really go at it, that there's only one way this can be settled, and that's of course in a ring. I don't really care. It's on the company. If the promotion wants it, I'll wrestle. I don't really need to. So, if you ever manages to be here, I'm up for it. Said Giulia.
まあ必要であれば私はいつでもの必要であるのは
誰なのか。If it's necessary, I'll do it. Basically, says Giulia.
ジュリアにとって必要なのか。でも必要であればっていうのは自分では言わないじゃん。だからファンにとって必要なのか、会社にとって必要なのか、何にとって必要なのか、お客さんが見たいからお客さんにとって必要であれば私はいつでもやるよっていうことなのか、この必要であれば私はいつでもっていうことがちょっと分かんないんだよね。
I can't really understand what she means by if it's necessary. Necessary to who? You're the one who's picking a fight. Necessary to the audience? Do they want to see it and then will you do it? necessary to you because your company asked you to do it? Like, necessary to who? You're the only person talking here.
であと会社判断って言ってるんだけど、
They say like it depends on the company, she says
会
later.
社っていうのは、まあ、スターダムさんのこ
Of
とじゃ
course,
ないですか。
it depends on stardom.
でじゃあスターダムさんが判断して必要か必要じゃないかを考えたら、スターダムに私は必要ないでしょ、どう考えても。
So she goes, if you thinking stardom will be the one to, if we should do it or not, to decide, of course stardom doesn't need Emi Sakura. They have their own thing. Why would they go out of the way to make a match between Emi and Sakura and Giulia?
でなんかその自分がすみませんスターダムさん私のこと必要ですよねとか売り込むあれでもないし、武道館に出れたのもそういうきっかけじゃないじゃん。まあ若くて最前線の子たちがキラキラ輝くところって考えた時に、会社に判断を委ねたらそれは必要じゃないって言われるはずだから、私は言おうと思います。ジュリアさんが試合をしたいんであれば、チョコプロはいつでも待ってるよ。私はプレイヤーだけど会社でもあるから、スターダムがダメならチョコプロで試合しよう。
Emi Sakura says, well, if your hands are so binded that you have to wait for your company to permission, or you can't really do too much, you need to wait for necessaries. If you really want to, let me say that here. If Stardom doesn't let you do a match with me, come to ChocoPro. I'm always here. I'm a player, but I also have a company. I don't have to wait for anybody's orders. The second you show up, we are always ready. Just show up to ChocoPro.
So,
if Stardom doesn't let you, that's a different thing.
で、じゃあ分かりました、成川さんが、業界のためにっていう言葉がありましたけど、今まではがむしゃらに私がトップを目指すっていう感じだったのに、見るところがジュリアさん変わってきたんですかっていうふうに聞いてる。
So she goes, you're talking about the society and the business of this thing. So up until now you were thinking about I'm going to be the top. Have your views changed? Are you thinking about more things now instead of just about yourself going to the top?
でこれやっぱり面白いのは、ベルトを持った時には見えなかったことがなくなって見えたって、業界のために考えることはすごいことなんだけど、ベルト以上の価値を見つけちゃったのかな。私はベルトを取ることよりもこの業界を良くしたいっていうことを見つけちゃったのかなって。
So she says it's interesting as she found to think about the business, to think about the society, to think about professional wrestling as a whole. It's interesting because she didn't see that when she was a champion. Did she found like a more meaning in after losing the championship and founding, like thinking about the business as a whole is a very good thing. Is a very big thing actually, and to do that after losing your belt is almost like you found like a new something that's like way more worth than a belt. Like, you know, you lost the belt and you got like a new found desire in yourself to really make this thing better.
で、まあジュリアさんは変わったって見た目が。で、
これインタビューをやってる。成川さんが言ってます。
成川さんが変わったんですかって聞いたら、ジュリアは変わったよって。
So it's very confusing because she talks about herself in a third person way. So the editor Narikawa-san, who was here, asks, so have you changed? And she goes, yes, Giulia has changed. She says.
で、3月3日の武道館をやるにあたって、いろんな人の意見や考え方が見えたことは良かった。いろんな人が
says because I did the Heroes Hair match, I got to hear and see a lot of opinions, and that was really good.
大歓迎、それは嬉しかったんだけど、紙切りでノーって言っただけじゃなくて、渡辺桃選手へのツイッターでの絡み方で、上げ足取りが上手なのはよく分かったんだけど、まあいじめに見えたと。
She says, I got to hear the complaints about the Heroes Hair match, but also the back and forth with Momoe on Twitter. Momoe who wrestled, of course, Nanai in Budokan. Momoe, Emi Sakura says, Giulia says, well, I saw the interaction between Momoe and her on Twitter as well. I really understood like, oh, she's really good at like getting people or roping people, but to me it just looked like bullying.
で失礼ですけど、こういう人がいるから業界がおかしくなってるところはある。
業界とはバックステということ、ソサイティのことでしょ。プロレスというビジネスのことでしょ。関係なんかプロレスをやってる人たちの雰囲気でしょ。So the society basically, the wrestling society, the wrestling market, basically the people who do wrestling there, like a backstage feel, you could say. She says it might be hard. Giulia says now after saying like it looked like bullying to me. After said Well, like it might be harsh to say, but people like this is what makes the business a hard place. People like this is basically like turns the business, the people in the business into a bad atmosphere.
ただこの渡辺桃選手のツイッターの絡み方っていうと高橋七重選手もいろいろ書いてるから、まあ、汚い言葉で、まあ、それはちょっとわからないけどこれと置いといて先に読むと、後輩が先輩を尊敬してて、ある種言い返せない部分があるからといって、自分の都合の良い理屈をさも正しいかのように押し付ける。日本語難しいかな。
So she basically says, well, there's a culture in Japan to the juniors cannot really get back at the seniors to really talk back, and the fact that they cannot talk back, using that as a shield and making what you say into the right thing because they cannot really talk back is the way you're doing things.
で、いや押し付けてないかで、若い選手たちが必死にやってることを柔らかい口調で否定する。
So like no, she's not really stopping the juniors. She's correcting herself now. She's very soft spokenly, with very kind words, killing the hard work that the juniors are doing.
で、こういうやり方は女子プロレスを蝕んでる。これは何とかしないといけない私が。
These are the thinkings, Giulia says now. These are the thinkings that are binding the legs and really keeping them in the ground to Joshi Pro Wrestling. These are the things that are stopping Joshi Pro Wrestling. And I have to do something about it, says Giulia.
こういう、ごめんね。まあ、あちらが、私かな、が否定的なことを言ってくる理由が、単にスターダムの悪口を言いたい、言って貶めたいだけだったらもう相手する意味もないねって、私の相手じゃない。
She says, but if her is just out there trying to like talk bad about stardom and just doing it for the sake of it, then I don't really have to even engage with her. It's not worth my time to engage if she's just talking about bad mouthing stardom. By the way, Rob and the guys who did Super Chat, I couldn't read it. I'll get to them afterwards and like once we go through all of this.
で、渡辺もそのツイッター私何書いたかなと思ったの。で、
So Emi Sakura is like, okay, she doesn't remember 1 giga memory, everybody. She goes back as to like, what did she actually say about Momo when she said?
で、Momo選手がまあ七重と髪をこう掴んで、まあ記者会見で。
So Momo actually put a picture up with her and Nanai just smacking each other's hair, like grabbing each other by the hair, and she wrote this.
で、もう古い時代は終わらせる。
Momo says the old era is going to end now.
Momo
says yes.
で、これから私たちの時代だよ。
From now on, this is going to be our era.
スターダムそして渡辺桃をなめんなって彼女書いてる、ね。
Don't look down on Stardom and Momo.
で、それなんでこの渡辺選手にリプライをしたかっていうと、まあその夜に七重さんとトークがあって、七重さんの対戦相手だったからっていうことなんだけど。
So the first interview we actually did for the Stardom is actually Nanai. We did an interview with Nanai, and Emi Sakura talked to Nanai because they are old friends. See, they talked for like 2 hours or something about the match, and because she talked about that much with Nanai about Momo for more than 2 hours, she actually replied to Momo's tweet that she did.
試合に関係ない人は口出すなっていうことかと思うんだけど、まあ、渡辺桃選手の言う私たちの時代は、この日参戦する選手、武道館の誰から誰までですか、10年前スターダム旗揚げ戦に出てる1期生の岩谷選手は古い時代の選手ですかって私が聞いたの。
Emi Sakura goes, so the era she replies to Momo on top of it, as Emi Sakura asks, so the era you talk about, from where to where is it exactly? What are like of all the wrestlers in that show, the Budokan show, from where to where do you mean actually your era? So let's just say Iwatani, who's a more than a 10-year veteran, is she in your era or is she like from an older era? Like, can you tell me specifically?
したら渡辺選手が返事くれてリプライで。
So Watanabe Momo actually replied.
で、質問の答えにはなってなくてごめんなさい。
Sorry that I couldn't, like my tweet really couldn't answer.
で、先ほど、配信、七重と私がやった YouTube ライブを見てたと。
She says, let me say that one more time. Momo says from the get-go, I'm sorry that I can't really answer, but I did see the live stream you did with Nanai.
で、私の思いは本気だし、それは試合でしか見せることができない。
My feelings are very real, and I can only show those in the match.
で、自分っていうか私たち世代の時代はまだ来てないから、これから作っていくよって。
She says, not just me, all of our time has not come yet, and we're gonna make this from now on, working hard.
で、そのためにはまず高橋七重と戦わなければいけないと思いましたって。
She says, and to do that, first I thought I really have to fight Nanae first.
で、確かに答えにはなってないし、七重に対しては失礼なこととかもいろいろ言ってたけど、多分渡辺選手はすごい丁寧に返してくれたから、私もすごいいい選手だなと思って。
So Emi Sakura says, of course she didn't answer what Emi Sakura asked, but she was very proper and she was very respectful, and she was like, okay, see, Emi Sakura really thought that Momo was like a very, very, I would say, like a genuinely nice person, somebody who's, who considers a lot of things.
で、私は、
So Emi Sakura replied,
配信見てくれてありがとう。
Thank you very much for watching the stream.
私は今の時代についていくのに夢中です。私ね。
夢中ではもうわかりません。
頑張ろう。頑張ってる。
So Emi Sakura says she's doing her best to try to be in the era that is happening in wrestling right now.
で、どんなに本気でも思いを伝えるには言葉が必要で、試合で気持ちを伝えるのはもちろんだけど、試合後にも言葉が必要かもしれないねって。
Emi Sakura goes, no matter how strong your feelings are and how true they are, sometimes you just have to use words. I understand you're trying to show everything in the ring, but there are times where you have to put your feelings into words.
で、その言葉たちが、自分が言った言葉たちが私たち世代っていうももさんが作りたい時代を作る助けになるかなって。
She says it could be that the era you're trying to create, the things you say, the words you put out, might help create that era.
で、渡辺対高橋だね、楽しみだねって。
She goes, and you versus Nanae, I'm really looking forward to it.
でもこれをジュリア選手の、記事で見ると、余計なことすんなってことだから。
So from Giulia, the way Giulia is speaking about this is basically going, don't butt in this, basically.
いわゆる、私多分ね、これすごい考えて、このツイートするの2時間ぐらい考えたんだけど。
Because 向こうがめっちゃ丁寧だったから。
そう。
Because Emi Sakura says after she asked Momo the first time she replied, when Momo really genuinely and very respectfully replied, and very properly, like very respectful, almost like somebody talking to a very senior person. And so Emi Sakura thought about this tweet for 2 hours because she wanted to be very proper and respectful in the same amount as Momo was to her.
なんだけど、それは私の事情じゃん。
Of course, it's all about her.
だからこれを受けたももちゃんとか、もも選手とか、これを見た他の人たち、ファンの人たちとかは、もういわゆるクソリップってやつなんだけど、なんていうの、余計なことすんなってこと。
So basically, everybody was like, "Come on, leave her alone." But basically, everybody thought, even though she was very proper about it, it still was like, it's almost like if somebody is not good at something, don't point it out.
だからそれについては、ごめんなさい。
So I'm sorry about that, Momo, if you felt bad.
本当に余計なことしてすいません。
だけどなんかこれも横のこととはあると思うんですけど、これはMomoが横のこと言うなって言った場合はごめんなさいと言うべきですけど、今の誤りは誰とですか？
いや、嫌な思いしたファンの人たちにごめんなさい。で、このモモの話は後で出てくるからちょっと待ってもらっていい？
So she says, I'm asking, okay, if Momo said don't butt in, I would understand, and you apologize to her, I would understand too. But who are you apologizing to right now? And she goes, I'm apologizing to the fans who must have felt bad about the tweet. But Momo's story is going to come up afterwards as well, so we're going to go back to that. Please, faster, Sakura-san.
ごめんね。頑張ってあと20分ぐらいで終わるようにします。はい。で、ジュリア選手の続きね、ベテラン選手の実績や名前という部分では戦うメリットはこちらにあると思っているから、リングで目の前に立ってくれるというんだったら私ではいつでも対応できる準備はしておく。
She says, if you have that much complaints and if you think really you can take me on, I'm ready in this ring, always prepared, let me know.
で、私はいつでも対応できる準備はしておくっていうのは、乱入とかどういうことを練習するっていうこと、ちょっと分かんないんだけど、私はいつでも試合ができる準備をしてくれるっていうことかな。分かんないんだけど、でも乱入とかしないんで、それは安心してください。
Emi Sakura says, what she's talking about, she's prepared, so she wants me to like do an attack, like show up suddenly or something. I'm not going to do that. So everybody please come. Like there's no way, like she's not going to run into stardom or something. You don't have to worry about that.
で、紙切りヘアマッチに戻れば話に戻るバイダウェイで。そしたら表面の部分でしか物事を語らない人がこの業界にいていいのと思った。
もう一回言っていいですか？
これは多分さくらだとすると、さくらが紙切りの、表面のところ、本当のことを知らないくせに、
わかるわかる。
語る人がこの業界にいていいの。
So she basically says people who don't know what's happening and what's really gonna happen shouldn't really talk and shouldn't really even be in this business at this point.
でまずスターダムの悪口を言いたいのっていうことで、スターダムの悪口を言うつもりは一切ないですね。スターダムさんに武道館出させていただいてありがとうございますって気持ちなので、スターダムさんに対してはないっていうことをここでは言っときたいのと、業界に行っちゃダメなのかもね。で、紙切りが古いんじゃない。やってる人の考えが古いから話題にもならないんじゃないの。これでも私が紙切りやったの10年前だから、七重とか中島のことなのか分かんないけど、分かんない。紙切りが話題にならなかったからダメってことなのかな、ちょっと分かんない。
So she goes, well, hair versus hair match is not old. The people who thinkings are old. That's all. And if the bad fact is about when you guys did the hair versus hair match, it didn't even made any news.
で、やってる人の考えが古いから話題にもならない。私と、ジュリアと中野タムの髪切りマッチはある程度話題になったと思う。例えば、東京スポになったと思うけど、それは私と中野タムだからなったんだと思うよ。
She says, well, it's not an old. My hair versus hair match with Tam became a news. It spread. It went viral. Why? Because it was me and Tam. It was Giulia and Tam. That's why it became such a topic.
でこれはさ、信頼関係があって素晴らしいねっていう話じゃん。で結局プロレスという枠組みでやってることなんていつの時代だって、そんなに大きく変わらないじゃんって。中学生の不良の喧嘩、格闘技の世界はいつの時代も面白い。それはそこに戦いがあるから。
She says, well, wrestling doesn't really change that much. Like, it's not like we do something different. It's the same thing. And like fights between, let's just say, two junior high students or the fight between two competitors, martial artists, it's always fun because there's an actual fight going on there.
で、令和だろうが、その根っこは変わらない。
Even if that era is right now, that fact of a fight is not going to change.
この辺はちょっと意味がわかんないな。
Now, it's really hard to contemplate what you're talking about right here.
で、私は時代を新しくするっていうことは、やることを大幅に変える必要なんてないと思ってる。
She says, I don't think we need to change a lot about this wrestling anymore.
中心に立つ人間が新しくなっていくのが、時代を新しくするっていうことじゃないのって。
She goes, the people who stand at the top, if they change, they become new, maybe they'll create a new era. Which is pretty weird, by the way he's saying it. It basically means I need to go, if like the people who at the top change, even if they do the same thing, it will be different.
その中心に立つ人間っていうのは、ジュリアさんがその中心に立とうとしてるし、私、今回負けちゃったけど、中野タムじゃなくて、私が中心になって新しいことをやれば、何かをやればもうそれで新しい時代を作れるんだから、なんか新しいことをこちょこちょやるなっていうことを言いたいと思うんだけど、なんかちょっとぼんやりしててよくわかんない。
She says she's not specific about it, so it's hard to put what she's trying to say.
で、私は髪切りについて覚悟があったし、いろんなものを背負ってた。髪切りマッチをすることについて覚悟があったし、いろんなものを背負ってた。
So she says she was very determined about the hair versus hair match and she was betting a lot on it.
それは想像できるよね。大変じゃん。武道館のメインなんて。で、同じ業界の人が、いじめみたいな方法で上げ足取るんだなって思って、上げ足を取るんだなと思った。
She says, but the same people, but Giulia is saying, by the way, right now, is that I also feel that, the people from the same business, from the same industry, drags you down and puts you, stops you, basically pull your legs from under you.
で、彼女みたいな人がいるから、後輩たちが恐れて自分のやりたいことをうまく表現できなくて、女子プロ界、業界っていうのは女子プロ界だったのかな、女子プロ界がダメになってる部分があると思う。
She says, well, there are people like this out there. That's why the people who are junior to them cannot really do what they really want. And people like these are what make Joshi wrestling toxic. Toxic world, like the people who are in Joshi wrestling.
で、ぜひ私とリングでやり合ってもらいたい。
I really want her to have a one-on-one in the ring.
あなたの得意なリングの外でのやり合いにも応じますよ。
And what you are really great at, the back and forth outside of the ring, I'm totally up for it here right now as well. She's basically saying I'll go promo to you.
ぜひ私とリングでやり合ってもらいたいというのは試合がしたいってことでしょ。
Yeah.
でも問題は誰と試合がしたいのかどこにも書いてないの、名前を出してない。
すごいよね。それぐらい気持ちあったって。
歯切れが悪すぎるこのインタビューは。
歯切れとは、結果
具体性がない。
It's just like it's too vague. She's very angry, you can tell. She goes back. This is the fourth time she has gone back to I want a match with you, and she still doesn't write the name. Which is like, as specificities goes, the result of this interview, there's nothing. Basically, she's pissed off very, very much at somebody, and she's going to great length to diss them at every point, and wouldn't say the name. Yes.
で、お得意のまあ多分私が口がなんか
as everybody would say, Emi Sakura is really good at talking.
試合じゃないとこでもやり合いにも応じますよってまあ言ってる。
I'll talk to you is basically what Giulia is saying. Not in just ring, outside as well.
で、これもちょっと不思議で、まずこのウィークリーマガジンが出たじゃん。でも私はそこにもし私のことだとしたら、私には場所がないし、週刊プロレスでインタビューなんて、25周年でやっとページをもらえたのよ。私が25周年の時にインタビューを取らせてもらった、ジュリアはもうすぐ2ページもらってるわけでしょ、だから私場所がないし、じゃあリングで言うのかなと思ったらそれもないの。だからまず何かしてこいってことでしょ。だけど、この雑誌読んでない人もいるし、
まあこれは誰でも見れますじゃない。
だからまあちょっと一回これをやったけど、本当にこれ私のことなのかどうかを恥ずかしいじゃん、違ったら。だから聞きたいのは明日スターダムさんが新宿フェイス大会があるの。でそれ終わっちゃうと山形とかなんかちょっと、違うところに行って、まあなんかしばらく時間が空くんだよね、2週間ぐらい。なのでその本当にこのインタビューが私のことであったら名前出して、そしたら私もやれることがあると思う。でもこれが私じゃなかったらすごい恥ずかしいし、なんで名前を出せなかったのか、これは、まあ、会社のことを考えたのか、周りの迷惑を考えたのか、何を考えたのか分かんないけど、名前を出せないっていうのは今のかっこいいジュリアと全然合ってないんじゃないかなっていう気がしてます。
So Emi Sakura says, well, the outcome of this interview is frustratingly nothing. Well, you say, Giulia says that she would like to go at her in the ring and outside the ring as well. But first of all, Emi Sakura had an interview on her 25th anniversary in the ShuPro. She waited 20 years for that interview. The last time she was had an interview, it was like what, 15-20 years ago. So she's not in ShuPro every week like you are. Number two, a lot of people don't even read ShuPro. Like none of the foreign fans read it, and a lot of Japanese fans don't read it either. So it's a weird place to really go at it because nobody's gonna see it. Not a lot of people are gonna see it. Let's just say that. And number three is that, like, of course, and let's just say about the ring, it's not like they're gonna meet in the ring. It's not like she's going to Stardom next week, so they can really talk there. So they say they have basically no place to go at it. Our ring, like in the ring or outside the ring. So there's a show tomorrow for Stardom. And right after that show, Stardom is going on a tour on countryside. So if this is really Emi Sakura, and if you really feel this way, and if you really want to go at it, say the name.
もしかしたらこれはまだ、はい。
Say the name, because the cool Giulia that everybody is seeing right now, the coolness of it, like how to say that, in control and awesome you are. The fact that you can't even say the name really doesn't fly with it. Either you are somebody who's not afraid of anything and is super cool and says it, or you're not. If you're worried about, like, maybe you will get trouble to your company, Stardom. If you're worried about maybe you will worry to the people who are above you, let's just say people who, managers and stuff like that. Well, I understand. We understand. It's just that it doesn't fly with how, the Nippon Budokan main eventer, no hair, G.I. Joe style, Giulia doesn't fly with it. So, make it black and white. Do something.
もしくはこれが私でもないし他の誰でもない可能性もある。誰でもいないんだけどこういう人は、ジュリアは私はこの業界の上の人、先輩に対してもいろいろ言える人なんだよっていうことをイメージアップ、自分のイメージを作るためにこのインタビューを載せただけかもしれないからこれはいいイメージアップになったのかもね、これが存在しないなら。
So Emi Sakura says, but it could be that you're just talking about everybody. Maybe it could be that you're not talking about anybody. You're just trying to put an image out that you are someone who can talk back to all the upper echelons, to the people who are senior, to the people who people consider legends. You can talk back to them. Maybe you're just creating an image, and maybe there's nobody out there who you're angry at. And if there's nobody, you would say nobody's name.
多分多くの人がさくらをイメージしたと思う。私も私じゃないかなと思ったから。だから、
maybe it's not Emi Sakura. Maybe it's not.
あとこれ雑誌だから、会社は確認してるでしょ、この雑誌載る前に。だからスターダムもこの雑誌を載せることは OK してるし、本人も言ってないこと書かないし、これがツイッターでうっかり書いちゃった消しましたとかじゃなくて、ちゃんといろんな人がこの雑誌の編集長もチェックして載っけてるものだから、そのイメージアップに誰でもないなんとなくさくらのイメージダウンをしたようなことに関しては、私やっぱり言わないと変だから、それは言わせてもらったよってことかな。
She says, and this is a magazine. It's not a Twitter post you write and you cut. Before this article was uploaded before ShuPro put it out to production, this was checked by your company, Stardom. Every article is. This was checked by you because you are the person who's getting the interview. This was checked by ShuPro. So ShuPro put it out. It's not something you just said it in a moment. It was said in the way you wanted to perfectly. There was an editor, a team that went through it. That's how articles are put on in magazines, on paper. So, you know it, who you're talking about. Your company knows it, who you're talking about. And if you're talking about nobody, say nothing. But if you are talking about somebody, you better talk.
私のことを知ったらもっと思うことも変わったんじゃないかなと思うし、だからもしリングで会えるのなら、リングじゃないところで会えるなら、それは楽しみだなと思います。
Emi Sakura says, but it's weird because if this is about her, then it's weird for her. It's basically as you said you wanted to say, you basically badmouthed somebody out in the open completely with full will, and then just didn't say anything. It basically like self-satisfaction. Like you just said what you said, and then you just went back to what you were doing. You have no repercussion about saying it. So this, if it is Emi Sakura, she has to say it back, and that's what she's doing right now. But if it is about Emi Sakura and you say the name, she's looking forward to meeting you. If they meet in a ring, she's looking forward to it. And if it's not a ring, if they just meet someplace, somewhere, she's looking forward to that too.
そう、桃彦さんその通り、明日、新宿フェイスでさくらえみの名前が出なかったら、私のことじゃないから、私関係ない。まあいいイメージアップに利用されたんだろうなと思うし、私の名前が出たらお楽しみはこれからだ。確かにそうだね。2つの悲しかったこと、言いたいことがあります、ジュリア選手に。最後。
Somebody in the comments says, basically what it is if tomorrow she comes up on the ring and says Emi Sakura's name, it was Emi Sakura. And if she doesn't say Emi Sakura's name, well, basically they used Emi Sakura to have a good image up that she is cool, basically.
で増刊号の方のインタビューで、TDM、ジュリアの、ユニットのインタビューが載ってて、で全員他の団体からスターダムに入ってきた選手たちなんだけど、その選手は5人いるのかな、でスターダムの全員移籍組で、団体のいい点とかスターダムの悪い点も見えてくるんじゃないのっていうことに対して、みんながいろんなことを言ってるんだけど。
So there's an interview, another interview where the interview is about, what's the name?
Donna Del Mon.
DDM. Yes. So there's a unit of Giulia's called DDM, where the unit is made of apparently from all the wrestlers that had come from other companies joined Stardom, and now they're in Stardom. So they are talking about good and bad things about Stardom, how they feel now after joining it, after being it in quite some time. How do you really feel? And everybody is putting on something and something, and
ここでもジュリア選手はぼんやりしたことを答えてる。なんとなくスターダムを上げて、なんとなく要素全部を咎めるみたいなことを言ってます。
So here too, says Emi Sakura, Giulia is basically, well, talking in generalities, basically saying nothing, speaking a lot. So she's just like, a lot of good things, yeah, Stardom is awesome, and nothing else. Basically what she says.
まあ別にスターダムがいいのはいいじゃん。自分に合ってるんだから。自分に合う場所でプロレスやるのはすごいいいことだと思うんだけど。
I'd say that, of course, if you suit Stardom and you like it, that's a very good thing. It's very awesome to wrestle at a place where you like to.
で、スターダムに対して、まあ、団体のいいところや悪いところも見えてきますよねって。じゃあ私いろいろ思うことあります。いいなと思うことを言うと、まあ新木場大会でスターダムの、時間差バトルロイヤルをやった時に、改めてスターダムってすごいいい団体だなと思った。
She says, a few days ago we did a battle royal on Shinkiba, and Giulia is speaking now about Stardom and how she feels after joining Stardom, and about her unit and stuff. She says, I did a battle royal in Shinkiba for Stardom, and I really like after coming back, like I've taken aback for a second. I really feel Stardom is awesome.
で改めてそのいいな、一人一人すごく個性があって、みんなにいいところがある。
She says, everybody has their own things, and everybody is really good.
だいたい普通の団体ってちょっと上の人が目立ってて、その他は目立たない選手がいて、誰みたいなことがある。
So in other companies, says Giulia, and I quote, in other companies, usually the upper portion of the promotion is very, in spotlight, and everybody rest of them is like somewhere in between. Nobody really cares for them.
で、スターダムは選手全員がスターだし、こんな団体他にない。
In Stardom, everybody is a star. There's no other promotion like it.
で、それがね、ちょっとね、他の団体って言ってて、他にないっていうのは別にいいんだけど、他の団体とかどこの団体とは言ってないんだよね。この団体がどこなのか。普通の団体って言ってるの。普通の団体ってなんだろうってすごい思うんだけど、とりあえずスターダムはいい団体で、なんとなく女子プロレスっていうやつは、本当になんか上の人はいいけどその他は目立たない誰みたいなことがあるっていう、なんとなく否定はしてるけどどことは言わずに、っていうのがすごくある彼女の発言は。
So Emi Sakura says, so she basically says other places. Now, what other places? What promotions she's talking about? Nothing. So it's you can't really talk specifically, but she's basically saying that this, well, if we talk broadly, this Joshi wrestling thing, mostly the upper echelons shines and everybody else, nobody cares for them. But in Stardom, we are stars. So it basically like she's putting, let's just say, the person she wants to, the place she wants to put up, she's putting up. She's dissing kind of everybody, but literally nobody at the same time. It's like in vague terms where you don't really have to say anything while you speak. Honestly, is what Emi Sakura said.
でこれ私たちプロレスラーだから戦うじゃん。だけどこの言い方だと敵を作ることができないし、なんとなくみんなが嫌な気持ちになって終わる。
She says, as you know, we are wrestlers. It is our job to fight. That's what we do. We do this for a living. But if you speak in this sense, you make no enemies, but everybody feels bad because you just dissed literally everybody and made no enemies because you didn't spoke to anybody.
なんかそのもうちょっとかっこいいんだかかっこ悪いんだかみたいな感じだから、みんながかっこいいと思うんだったら少なくとも私にとってはかっこよくないんだけど、かっこよさを目指してもいいんじゃないかなって。
Emi Sakura says, well, like it's almost like a confusion. Are you cool? Are you not? Are you somebody who's up front or are you not? Are you somebody bold or are you not? Make it clear. A lot of people think you're cool. Kind of, do something cool. Because to me, you don't look right now cool at all. You seem like, how do you say that? You seem like vague. You seem like nothing.
そうなんだよ。名前を出さないんだよね。
Yeah.
だからなんとなく
You don't even say the name.
文句言ってくる人がいたら、あなたのところではないからって言い方もできるしね。
And it's basically like if somebody does get angry, she can always say, I didn't say it about you, and it ends right there.
でもう一つが、さっきアッキーも言ったんだけど渡辺桃選手について、で最後このインタビューの最後が私とリングで試合もしてもらいたい、お得意のそのリング外でも OK だし、渡辺桃みたいに優しいやつに絡んでんじゃねえよっていう文句を言ってんだよね。
So this is by the way just really good part because I told like let's talk about Momo completely and Emi Sakura says we're going to talk about it at the end and now we're going to talk about it. So at the end of the interview where she was just going at it to Emi Sakura to really go back and back, at the end of it she basically says もう一回読んでもらっていいですか？
渡辺桃みたいに優しいやつに絡んでんじゃねえよ。ぜひ私とリングでやり合ってもらいたい。
やり合ってもらいたい。わかりました。So basically says I really do want to face you in the ring where we ended at the last things he said on the interview we read to you. I really would like to do it with you in the ring and like stop hashing it out with kind people or kind wrestlers or kind like someone kind like Momo. You know, don't hash it out with them.
これは本当にひどい。
By the way, this is Emi Sakura said this is really terrible.
なんか
This is really rude and really very not good.
もし私だとして渡辺桃に優しい人に絡んだやつが悪いんじゃなくて、これを言うジュリアが悪いやつ。
Emi Sakura says if it was Emi Sakura, the person who's saying like who's let's just say going back and forth with somebody kind like Momo is not really bad. The person who's Giulia who said don't really hash it out with someone kind like Momo is actually the bad person here.
もしかしたらなんだろう、お姉さんみたいな感じで団体のその若い子をかばってあげる優しいお姉さんみたいな感じかもしれないけど、ユニットがまず違うんだよね。で、その見るに見かねてユニットの壁とか関係なくて助けてあげたっていうことかもしれないけど、七重と渡辺桃選手が戦った時に、めちゃめちゃすごい試合だったのよ。で、七重が蹴られまくって、勝ったんだけど七重が、ダメージがすごくて、渡辺桃やるじゃんと、いつもこのぐらい出してくれたらいいのに、これからが楽しみみたいな終わり方になったんだよね。
So why it is rude and bad and really disrespectful honestly is because this Momo that she's talking about, maybe she's thinking of like an older sister. Maybe she's thinking about it like it doesn't matter what group she is in, it doesn't matter what team she is in. Like as somebody who's from the same promotion, and don't you dare basically go after my little sis here. Basically she's thinking like that. Maybe she's thinking this kind girl that I need to protect, and I'm protecting her. This is my job to protect somebody who's Momo, who's kind, who can't really defend herself. I have to defend her. Maybe she's thinking that. But this same Momo, by the way, on the same Budokan show that we are talking about right now, went head to head with Nanai Takahashi. That was a very hard match, everybody. I saw that match. That was a brutal match. To the point where Nanai won the match at the end, but she got head kicked so many times in that match that the damage was incredible. She stood up and actually said, "You're awesome, Momo. If you come like this every time, nothing can stop you." No, I said that. Even when she won, that what Momo did.
で、もしこの後に渡辺桃選手がアクションを起こしたとするじゃん。そしたらジュリアが助けてくれたから、じゃあ私もってなるのか、少なくとも渡辺さんの中ではいろいろもう終わってたかもしれないじゃん。言われたけど返したから終わりなのか、言われたけどそれをバネに試合頑張るなのか、自分の中で絶対考えてたことがあるはずなのに、名前を出したりとかその優しいやつって言ってしまったことによって渡辺桃対さくらえみがもしかしたらあったかもしれないのに、今じゃなくても将来でも、その時にこれのことを出せるのにジュリアが言ったから桃がもう一回勇気出したんでしょみたいに思われる可能性もあるし、なんかそれこそ若い人のチャンスを潰してるっていうか、なんか目をつんでる気がする。
So as Giulia right there who speaks like you're trampling on the chances of youngsters. Well, how about this? Let's just say Momo must have also felt something from when they talked about, when Emi Sakura and Momo went back and forth on Twitter. They were very respectful to each other, but they did went back and forth. Let's just say in a few time, Emi Sakura and Momo were about to have a match. Well, what is Momo gonna say?
だから意外とこう助けてるようで助けてないってことかな。
So, like, there was a possibility like that. So what's Momo supposed to do now that Giulia has said you are kind and don't go after the kind one, basically the weak one? Does she have to fire up now to go after Emi Sakura, or does because Giulia already took care of it, I don't need to? Like, you just took out something. You just ended something that could have been something. You basically took a chance from Momo to come after her or reply, or maybe it's ended in her. Maybe she was like, I was done with Emi Sakura, I don't need to do anything, I did what I did with Nanai, and that was it. But you basically killed the hope. You basically called her weak, and that's the end of it. Who's taking the chances from youngsters now?
もし私だったら業界をダメにしてる嫌なやつかもしれないけど、少なくとも私のところの選手に対して私はこういうやり方はしないです。
She says she might be, let's just say, the way you say, Giulia, Emi Sakura might be, well, somebody who damns this Joshi world, you know? But she would never do this way to one of her wrestlers. She would never put them down themselves so they can't even fight outside. She would at least not do that to somebody of her own.
あとは、紙切りマッチって終わったじゃないですか。もう3月3日に終わって、勝った中野タム選手はもちろん、負けたジュリア選手にもカラー2ページのインタビューがもらえてるわけ。で、週刊プロレスさっきも言ったように私たち乗らないから、すごいことでみんなが注目して、ジュリアが次何をやるのかっていうのはすごい楽しみにしてると思うんだよね。
ですね。So Emi Sakura says, and let's everything be everything. The hair versus hair match happened, it ended, and not, of course, Tam, the person who won, but even the Giulia who lost it has 2 whole pages of color interview and like pictures and everything. Like, everybody is looking forward to what Giulia is gonna do next.
なんだけど、どうしてもう一回過去に戻っちゃったのかな。紙切り終わってハッピーエンド、自分なりのそのハッピーエンドにしたはずなのに、もう一回元に戻って、私こんなこと言われた、紙切りやるために覚悟もしてたし背負ってるものもあってすごい頑張ってたのに、なんで文句言うやつがいるの、っていうことを言われた感じかな。
Basically like it was ended. It was a happy ending. You did the match, haircut. You're moving forward. People are looking forward to what you do from now on as well. Why are you going back to the past? You just went back to the past and basically said, I did so best. I did my best. Like I prepared myself. I you know, I put my I you know, like I had a lot of preparations. I worked hard. I put so much into this, and I still got complained by other people. What the hell? Why do you complain? It's basically what you're saying. Going back and talking about what has happened before them.
なんでこういう形を取ったかっていうと、一番最初にも言わせてもらったんだけども、まずこの雑誌のインタビューという場所があって、私にはない、で SNS で言うにも私じゃない可能性がある、名前を出してないから、だから皆さんにもお願いしたいのは、さくらにこんなこと言ってって言ってもさくらじゃない可能性があるから何もできないんです、私たちには。ただし、私じゃないかと思ってる人もすごく多いから、それに関しては言われっぱなしになっちゃってるんで、これが後出しじゃんけんで言うのかもしれないけど、言わせてもらいました。
She says, but first and foremost, she talked it about this interview in ShuPro. Emi Sakura is never on ShuPro. We just don't. We're not there. We are not a part of the, well, let's just say the league that is on ShuPro. And if she talks about it on SNS, that's weird because there's a possibility, maybe she says it's not Emi Sakura that she's talking about. So it's pretty embarrassing to go out and just take a leak that it is me. So it's almost like a after-thrown junkin, because you have taken everything. You're bad-mouthed incredibly, and you can just take it back like, oh, I didn't say it to you. And, you know, very like a half-hearted way of doing things, basically, very uncool. But the fact that you have done this, Emi Sakura, if she doesn't reply, it just basically like you took a beating, like somebody walked up to you, punched you in the face, and just went back. That's basically how it's going on right now. So she had to say something, and she said this right here, right now, to all of you, explained the whole thing. It took 1.5 hours, but we still went through everything. She said her piece.
で、ジュリアさんはこのインタビューを書くにあたって、これが私誰であれ、いない人にであれ、逃げ道を用意してあるんだよね、ちゃんと。ですね。
She says, but no matter who it is she's talking about, no matter what she's doing, she has an escape route planned in this interview. She just had it from the get-go.
それには
even if it's about somebody else.
必要であればいいですよ、準備はできてますよ。必要であ
She
れば。
says, if necessary,
うん、
I'm prepared. She says
あ
first
と
thing.
会社が決めることだよ。
Number two, the company is going to decide, of course.
うん、で、
It is
それに
Giulia's
対
quote,
し
by the
て
way.
私は逃げ道を潰すようなことはしないです。
She says, in that sense, I have prepared my escape routes where I can always take. I haven't taken out my escape routes.
私は
Basically.
チョコプロにスターダムがダメだったらチョコプロに来てもいいよ、チョコプロで試合やろうよ、そんな向かい合いたいんだったら、で言うけども、じゃあ実際スターダムさんの武道館大会を何千何万人の人が見たかもしれないけど、チョコプロに来た場合、まあ、今日は432人の方が同時で見てくださってるって言って、アーカイブも多分5、6千、まあ、1万、将来わかんないけどぐらいの方しか見てないんで、スターダムさんで試合やるよりは見てる人が少ないかもしれないからやらなくてもいいんだよっていうことは言ってきます。
So Emi Sakura says, of course, you had your escape routes. I don't have mine. I don't have any escape. I'm basically saying, if let's just say your company doesn't let you, you can come to ChocoPro. We'll have it here. Of course, it's not like we can do a Budokan for you. You know, maybe like let's just say many hundreds of thousands of people watched it. Let's just say 50,000 watched it. We don't know. But if you come to ChocoPro, let's just say right now, 430 people are watching us right now. And let's just say in archive, maybe let's just say 10,000 people will watch it. So the people who will watch you if you come to ChocoPro might be less. But we always have it if you do want to.
あと2つあって、1つはリングがない。照明もない、キラキラしてない、私たちの。
Yes, and first of all, we don't have too many lights, let's just say. It's not, we don't even have a ring. We have our own chocolate square. There's 2 lights. It's not very bright. It's not very sparkly. It doesn't really put a spotlight from like freaking 100 meters away at you.
舞台、まあその痛いじゃん、マットで試合するのとか。だからそういうのに関
And
しては
also it hurts a lot. The mat is not really solid. It's like bumping on ground.
3つ目は、まあギャラが彼女どのくらいもらってるのかわかんないけど。
And also, your guarantee must be pretty high. Basically match fee.
ギャランって安いです。
Yes, and Emi Sakura says her guarantee is very cheap. She doesn't take too much money.
いや、これはごめん。それはさ、
そんなに安くないですよね、Emi Sakuraさん。
いや、ジュリアがいくらもらってるかわかんないから、それに比べたらめっちゃ安いと思う。
She said, Emi Sakura said, she doesn't know how much Giulia gets for a match, so her might be cheaper compared to her.
入場曲も流せない。
Yes, we also don't have music. You just have to show up and be your face and talk.
なんかそれは花道も1メートルしかないし、それは
And
もし
your
かした
entrance is
ら
1 meter.
彼女が今試合できないのはやっぱりしょうがないことなのかもな。
Yes, but Emi Sakura says, well, her not being able to wrestle Emi Sakura, maybe there's no helping it. You know, maybe she has too many conditions on her that she can't really put out. That's why she didn't say the name. That's why she put things like company will decide, maybe we'll do it, maybe there's necessary, maybe it's not. I would definitely like to wrestle you, but if necessary.
あと、
And also if company says so.
週刊プロレスさんの他のページもまだ全部見れてないし、まあ、時差があると思います。特に海外の人は見れてないじゃん。同じようにジュリア選手や、まあ、スターダムの関係者の方とか、まあ、誰かしらがこの放送を見てるとは限らないじゃん。で、私ジュリア選手と本当話したこともなくて、一個だけすごいこれ気まずいんだけど、武道館大会の最後試合で見てて、まあ、控室に帰ってもう帰ろうとした時に小川さんがこう歩いてたの、だから小川さんだと思って最後小川さんだけに挨拶しようと思って、最後ぐらい元気に挨拶しようと思って「お疲れ様です、ありがとうございました」って言ったのよ、階段のまあちょっと上からになっちゃったけど、そしたらそれがメインが終わったばっかりのちょっと髪を切ったジュリアさんと、マスコミの方が、まあ、10人ぐらいの集団がこの会見ブースに移動するとこだったのよ、小川さんに言ったつもりだったんだけど、めっちゃ明るくみんなに「お疲れ!」みたいなこと言っちゃってもう本当にそれは心から謝りたい。本当に申し訳ない。
Emi Sakura is the Emi Sakura, everybody. She says she have actually never talked to Giulia. They have never actually met ever properly. They have never even actually talked face to face. But there's one thing she would like to say though, that at the end of the show, when the show ended in Budokan after the main event, she was coming back, and the producer of Stardom and the ex-owner Ogawa-san was there, and she thought at least I would say my greetings to him at least before I go back, and she said it was a tough show, it was a long show, let's greet him energetically, like properly, oh, thank you for your hard work, with a smile. But as soon as she was saying it, there was like Giulia right after cutting her hair with like 10 reporters just was coming up. So she basically said, "Thank you for your good work," with a smile on to Giulia who just cut her hair. So that was bad timing. Let's just say a very, very, very bad timing. But Emi Sakura says she was very embarrassed and was very sorry that the timing matched the same time. Ogawa-san was here, Giulia just showed up, she just said it. So it was like she said it to everybody.
私はまあ言いたいことを言ったし、なんか一応モヤモヤしてる私のファンとかもいたと思うから、その人に対してはまあちゃんと名前もまあちょっとね全然違ったら本当申し訳ないんだけど、出せたと思う。でもそのまあこの業界のレジェンドとして。若い選手に、まあ、若い選手にいろいろ意見を言われたり、まあ、利用される、まあ、自分のイメージ作りに利用されるのは別に大丈夫です、問題ない。
So Emi Sakura says she said what she wanted to say. Her fans who must have been feeling like why isn't Emi Sakura replying, and was like it felt wrong, you know. It was just like she wasn't saying nothing. She was like taking a beating on the ground. So. She says, I said what I said. A lot of people. Of course, if Giulia just said it was a new, then that's a different thing. It's a very separate thing. But she says, but if it is her and they just decide not to do anything, it's okay. If you want to use Emi Sakura just to put your image up and talk big, it's okay. It's okay. We understand. You can do that. It's necessary.People do that.
私とジュリアさんは今までも会ったこともないし、この先も交わらないっていうことがあるかもしれないけど、いつか私こんな人なんだな、本当はまあイメージ通りの人かもしれないし、イメージとは違うかもしれないし、試合はしてみたいし、まあその日が来るまでお互い頑張ろうじゃないけど、まあ明日のお話楽しみにしてます。
Emi Sakura says, well, he said what she wanted to say. Basically, she have never met you, Giulia. But it could be that you guys might never meet. You guys never cross path. Or maybe you will. And maybe she will be as you thought she is. Or maybe she will be different so how you thought she was. But up until that, like she would love to wrestle you. If you would. You know, if the necessities match and your company says yes. But... if it's hard, then it's okay. Let's just maybe both of us do our best or something, or just overall good luck. And she is looking forward to what you say tomorrow, though.
まあコメント読めなかったので、まあ今日は本当にごめんなさい。であと1時間半でちょっと長くなっちゃったんですけど。
Yeah, we were supposed to do it for like 40 minutes, but Emi Sakura is really. That's the difference, everybody. Let me just take 2 minutes here. That's the difference.Emi Sakura talks about points and particulars. She talks about, you said this, and I'm gonna say this, exactly. You will know what I mean when I speak. Exactly what I mean. I won't speak vague. I won't just throw something, hoping it doesn't land on anybody's head, so that I have to apologize to anybody. When Emi Sakura speaks, she speaks a long time though. Like we were supposed to do it for 40 minutes, we did it for 130. But she speaks to point.And she speaks whatever she wants to speak without holding back. So I think that is a very interesting point to me. I just wanted to say that's because she has said many times that Giulia was just too vague and just had like 10 escape paths while she said one thing. But Emi Sakura, no escapes. She said what she wanted to say and meant it very particularly in details. Well, that is. Yes. Thank you very much, by the way, Rob, up top saying it. I'm going to read a few of the super chats if I can find them. The chat. There's only a limit of chats I can read.
Yes,
I can't really read the whole thing even if I want to. But I will try to do so here if I can possibly. But let me just read the ribbons I can read. By the way, Rob, thank you very much up top. Thank you very much, Momohik-san. I did read your comment. I will read it after. We'll read all the comments afterwards. I love reading your comments afterwards, especially. I'm going to read that, and well, if we can possibly, I'll try to reply it on the next stream or on Twitter, on social media or something. I think Giulia does not want to complain to Emi Sakura. She just want to fight with Sakura. In other words, Giulia loves Sakura so much, and also I want to watch both of your match. なんか本当にSakuraさんのことが好きかも。だからなんかそんなに話したよって。でそんなになんていうかな、なんか試合したいだけの めちゃくちゃさくらさんのことが好きかも。で、そんな風にも半分聞こえたよって。JK ラン、Thank you very much for saying that. サンダー47さん。
ありがとうございます。明日も早いのに。明日ね、チョコプロあります。ぜひ。
Tomorrow, everybody, 10 a.m. Japan time. We have a ChocoPro show one more time. I could listen to Sakura-san speak for another hour. もう1時間でも大丈夫ですよ。Thank you, Darren. もう一回、あと20分。
40、50分ぐらい延長するには慣れております。もえこさん、スーパーチャットいっぱいありがとう。
Thank you very much, もえこさん。
ゲームさん、さくらさんお願いします。
川口さん says, just an appreciation. Thank you very much. ゲームさん、ありがとうございます。Alexander, thank you, Sakura-san and Akkiさん for the translation. Thank you very much, Alexander.
アッキーね、一回家に帰ったのに、やっぱりやるよって呼び出されて。
Yeah, I just came here. I actually left after doing the
雨降っ
show.
てんのに。
I was took a shower in my bed about to sleep and Sakura calls me. We need to do this live. Come here.
ごめん。
I left my home, ran here in rain to do this.
シュプロ海外の人読めないし。
Yeah, but you guys can't. It's my pleasure. It really is my pleasure because Emi Sakura has been thinking about this for the last 3 days and she was contemplating should she do it or should she not. I was very much on the same I'm like go. Just freaking burn the village down. I'm totally with you. And I'll translate. So whatever you want to say. And I was really happy I was able to do so. All the English fans who doesn't really get the coverage of what happens here were able to get it. Please do share this. Everybody share the word. Let everybody know that this happened. Please tweet it out what you feel about it. Use the hashtag ChocoPro to say whatever you want. 皆さん ChocoPro のハッシュタグを使って何が言いたいこととかが SNS とかあったら全然ぜひぜひ使ってください。Please do use the hashtag ChocoPro. Or you can just make a hashtag that you want to.
アッキの時間終わったお給料、時間外手当に V チューさんがスーパーチャット。
ありがとうございます。
なんか本当にでも言いたいのは私じゃない可能性もあります。だからそれに対して私が言うのはすっげえ嫌なやつになっちゃった。
でも名前言ってくださいと言った時には誰の名前の言えなかったら誰でもなかったってことになりますか？
誰でもないし、さくらに見せかけていろんなもの混ぜてる可能性もあるよね。私じゃないんだけど、さくらっぽくいろんな悪口混ぜてる。悪口じゃないね、ごめんね。
So, but I'm sorry, like, there's a good chance it's not Emi Sakura. Maybe it's not. But if she's, let's just say, if tomorrow Giulia says no name, says nobody's name, then it basically means there was just nobody. She just wanted to get something out, look cool, and she did so. She just took the name of Emi Sakura and
はい、ここからはちょっと雑談ね、ごめんね。アッキー風邪ひかないでって。
Oh, thank you very much.
アッキーさん、サンダーさん、アッキーさん、タクシー代。
ありがとうございます。
でも私タクシーで来ていいよって言ったじゃん。で、なんでですか？歩いて行きますよって言ったでしょ？
そうですよ。普通にお金使えないの私。
ごめんね、ごめんね。かおりちゃん、アッキーいつもありがとう。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you for the insight. I would like to find out where this goes. I would like to find out either too, Poker God. Thank you. Koji said this is all over Reddit already. Many will see it. Oh, thank you, Koji. もう Reddit にめちゃめちゃやっちゃってるってみんな見るよって。
Reddit って何？
めっちゃでかいグループあるんですよ。プロレスのファンが一緒に集まって話してると。すごいですよ。
さくらさんはもう本当ある意味で日本一の。
Yeah, tomorrow's Stardom is gonna be a fun show, everybody. Tomorrow's Stardom is gonna be a fun show. Please somebody make a cool hashtag.About this talk, so we can have like a particular hashtag of what everybody talked about.
あともう一個だけ逃げ道をしていい？これスターダム多分関係ないです。ジュリアと私の。
And also there might be a thing that Stardom doesn't really have too much to do anything about it. Maybe Giulia just did it of her own accord. And this might be a personal fight between Giulia and Emi Sakura.
スターダムさんには感謝します。武道館出させていただいてありがとうございます。で、これに関してでも明日の新宿大会は普通にみんなそれぞれの選手が自分の気持ちをぶつけて一生懸命頑張ってそれをお客さんも楽しみにしてるのを。
さくらさんこれ最初から逃げ道って言ってたから。
いや逃げ道じゃないけどかわいそうじゃん頑張ってる選手が。ごめんね。私がなんで謝るの？まあごめんね。
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much to Stardom for.Inviting Emi Sakura for the Nippon Budokan. It was a fun show, and we look forward to tomorrow's show from Stardom. We are really looking forward to what they do. So we can start the hashtag. Hashtag. You can call in. Thank you very much. But please do use the ChocoPro hashtag as well, so we can find it easily. Thank you very much, everybody. Tammy says, "Thank you, Akif, again for translating for English for us. You're the bridge man." Thank you, Tammy. It's a pleasure always.
あとも最後に一言言いたいのはこのことが本当に自分のことかわからないけど自分がやってることを果たしてどうかなって考えた時にじゃあももちゃんとかに送ったリプライは本当にひどかったんだなとかもしかしたらみんなもあるかもしれないからそういうふうに振り返る自分かなっ 業界にいらないやつなのかなとか振り返るきっかけにはなりました。でも私はこの業界に居続けます。そしてチョコプロを大きくして、100回を無事迎えてどんどん大きくしていくのでよろしくね。
She says, last thing she wants to say is thank you very much. Maybe it might have really, hurt a bit feelings or something. Maybe she heard maybe sometimes she says something that hurt you as a fan, or maybe somebody who's a wrestler, or maybe she says a reply that hurt somebody in the gut or something, like where it really hurts. Sometimes Emi Sakura really does say those things. So really, she's sorry about that. Maybe she really got to think about it in the last 3 days as to maybe she really shouldn't exist in Joshi world anymore, in this Joshi wrestling business and the industry. Maybe she doesn't need it to be here. Maybe people might have got hurt. So sorry about that. But she says, I will continue being in the Joshi industry. I will be 最後さん何回最後ですか？多分10回目の最後ですよ。ちょっと待ってください。翻訳まだ。で、basically she says she would continue to be in the Joshi industry, in this business, and try to make ChocoPro as big as possible, even going to ChocoPro 100 and past that as well. Yes, please.
はい。最後に私はこの場があって本当に良かったな。この場がなかったら雑誌読んで
本当に1から10までみんなありがとうって言って知ってますよね、今。
落ち込んでたりとかしてたと思うから、あとプロレスについて話すことは私は好き。で好きな人が集まってくれてると思うし、それが日本の人だけじゃなくってその雑誌を読んでない世界の人まで、いい悪いは置いといて一緒にこうディスカッションみたいな、読めなかったんだけどごめんね、そういう風にさせてもらえるのはすごく嬉しいし、この場にありがとうございます。1年間ありがとう。本当に最後、本当に最後。
So she basically goes, thank you very much for everybody. She's really lucky that to have you guys here, so she can really talk. She loves talking about wrestling. She loves discussing it. Let alone what's good and bad. Let's put that aside for 1 second. To really just talk with you guys, what you say, what I say, and really discuss it in length, and really talk about how we feel, like how you think about things, and going through all of those things. You really feel appreciated and really feel happy that the fact that we can do that and she can do that. So thank you very much for being here, and she would love to keep continuing to do so. So thank you very much. There's 2 more super chats that we would like to go through, and
この場がなかったら何も言えなかったんだよ。ありがとう。
Thank you very much, dog. It is fantastic. Always happy. ESG all the way. Says dog, not me. But thank you very, very much, everybody. We will see you tomorrow morning in 12 hours. Oh no, 11 hours 30 minutes from now. We will see you with ChocoPro Live 96. The match card is already out. The link is already in. You can see that anytime. Thank you very much. This was to Giulia from Emi Sakura.